Yo. Welcome back to a little ritual. This feels like inauthentic to be saying, because like I have obviously not been updating my YouTube channel, and you may have noticed that it followed like a kind of dramatic video that I posted. I'm not even gonna say it's dramatic because that would be shaming my own internal dialogue, which I think is totally valid. So I'm coming on here to discuss like what I'm going through right now. So no fancy setup, no lights, no camera, just my good old photo booth to assist me in this rant. So part of the reason why I haven't been on here is because I've been in grad school. If anybody understands what it feels like and means to be in grad school, you know that even the thought of me having extracurricular activities on my plate right now is kind of preposterous. So, you know, like, props to me for even trying to have a steady presence on the internet, because I barely have enough time for myself. I barely have enough time for the people in my life. I barely have enough time to get all of my shit done. I'm trying not to stress myself out right now. So, the topic that I'd like to discuss is, can you be your own therapist? Now, this is an unpopular opinion. I know this because I have said this to people and they have actively shut me down. And if you know anything about me, you would know that people shutting me down is only fuel for me to keep talking about the things that I think are right. Not even right, because also I don't believe in right and wrong. I don't believe in good or bad. I just know me, what works for me, what I think, what I feel. That's all I know, and that's all anyone can know. Right? Right? So, therefore, why would I pay somebody to tell me about myself? This seems like completely contradictory. I am studying to be a therapist. So, in the last month, I have been in basically an existential crisis about this. Because, like, why would I be in a profession that charges all this money for a service that I can't even afford? That's hypocrisy at its best. Therefore, I'm in somewhat of a moral conundrum. So, can you be your own therapist? Well, obviously society would like to tell you no, so that it can keep racking up all that money that it's draining you of, because you feel a dependency on some other expert to tell you what the fuck is up with your own life, when, you know, inherently you should be able to do this on your own. And I'm not saying that being your own therapist is a completely individualistic act. It's not. I'm coming to this conclusion based off of what I have been going through recently, what people I know have been going through recently, attempts at adapting to this capitalistic society in terms of how I get my health in check, how I medicate, whether that's prescriptions or natural remedies, all of which I seem to be purchasing from Amazon, which is also unethical in so many ways. The cannabis industry, I can't afford to purchase marijuana anymore at the rate that it's going. And, you know, it is one of my primary sources to de-stress. So I'm sitting here wondering, like, what are my other resources? Because, you know, if I was a real big-time YouTuber, I would be telling all of you to go onto betterhelp.com and subscribe, which, you know, they say is affordable. And, like, I don't know who in what capacity is creating these affordability standards, because I am a person of privilege, of great privilege, and I cannot get myself to spend like $100 a week. Even less, okay, so I just looked it up. BetterHelp.com is like $65 a week. I'm sorry, that's not affordable. I don't know. You know, like I backtrack in my mind and I'm like, you're really hypocritical because you spent $50 on makeup last week or whatever. Yeah, I did. But you know why? Because this is my face and I gotta do whatever I want with it. Why should I spend money to give to someone else to do the internal work that I am in control of? I just really don't understand that. Like, why am I ask myself, why am I becoming a therapist? I don't even know if I'm becoming a therapist. I'm in school to learn these things, to question, not even to learn, to unlearn. This is mostly a process of me unlearning what kind of mechanisms are in place to control me. You know, part of me is like, did the government create anxiety? Did they create anxiety so that they could charge us to try to cure our anxiety with not only pharmaceuticals, but people in place who go through all these rigorous trainings to apparently be able to help you, and yet they can't help themselves? I am in grad school, and every time I bring this up, can you be your own therapist? Because I'm spending $50,000 to learn how to help other people, and yet not myself. And I am most definitely challenged in these spaces where people are like, no, of course you can't be your own therapist. How could you possibly do that? Maybe because I just spent $50,000 trying to do that for someone else? I'm coming from the perspective right now that people don't have fucking time for other people in their lives because they're doing too much. Everyone is so burnt out because they are following this system that is in place to burn you out. We're creating the problem so that we can create the solution and make money off of it. That's disaster capitalism in essence. So I'm in this position where I'm trying to resource my community, and I'm going to these spaces where I can express these feelings and then be witnessed. And it just occurred to me that that's probably the biggest part of therapy, is the part where you're witnessed. And, you know, we've created a social game where you're not allowed to be witnessed for those things that make other people uncomfortable. And that discomfort is created. That was a created discomfort. Social standards of like not crying in public, or, you know, getting angry. You see these like cult documentaries where there are people flinging themselves up across the room and they call them crazy. And yet, I bet you, if you were given a chance to fling yourself across the room, you fucking would, because how are you not mind-boggled by the world we're living in? Just period, that question. So for me to try and be my own therapist is a little bit of a survival technique, because honestly, like, think about it. There was a point in time where there were no grocery stores, right? Like in civilization, there were no grocery stores, and like all you could do is grow your own food or resource your community for food. Like that's how people ate back then, right? Like they would grow food, they would, you know, raise animals, and they would resource their community, and that's how they got everything done. And like most of the stresses that have been created that cause anxiety and depression and even illnesses is like environmental factors, social factors, like the hierarchies we're placed in. I'm not even talking like, oh, if you're at the bottom then you get the most stresses. Like there are people at the top that are now in this rat race of having to maintain a lifestyle that's based off of bullshit, honestly. And that's what's creating stress. Like Instagram is a breeding ground for anxiety. It is an anxiety machine. I'm pretty sure they do that on purpose. So all of these things are fueling each other because we no longer have community. We think community is a bunch of people double-clicking fake versions of yourself. Like, part of why I have not been online is because I look like this every single day. And not that I have a problem with it, but it just doesn't fit into this weird paradigm that has been created within the internet where you have to like look a certain way, be a certain way, say certain things, or mostly not say certain things. So I like have taken a hiatus. I'd rather be like the most this me person that I can be without having to put on a show, because that's literally what this life is like putting on a show. And I'm pretty much over it. And so part of my thinking is that I just really needed to commit to myself. And that's part of being your own therapist. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. It's not going to be easy. And maybe going to therapy is easier for some people, but honestly, time, money, oppression, I cannot for the life of me find a therapist that is a person of color. I can't. And I'm no longer gonna sit in therapy with white people and have them tell me how to be and tell me who I am, who I'm not. I know essentially like therapists are not supposed to do that, but I cannot erase your whiteness for you, and I won't. And you will not save me, and you will not fix me. So, you know, not going to therapy in part is like a protest. So if I would like to be mentally ill and crazy for the benefit of being authentic to myself and not having to serve someone else for their power grab, so be it, okay? So when I sit here and I tell you that I can be my own therapist, I'm not telling you that I'm not mentally ill. I'm not telling you that I'm cured. I'm not telling you that I'm happy all the time. I'm not telling you that I don't feel depressed. I feel all those things. I am all those things. This self-reliance that I am coming into is so much more liberating than having somebody try and do this job for me so that they can make a living. And like, I get that we live in a capitalist society. I just don't agree with it. Like, and I am in a place of privilege where I can say like, I just am gonna close myself off from this because I can. But where's the privilege in not having this as an adequate resource? That's not privilege. That's just capitalism beating us down. There are plenty of people who cannot go to therapy. There are so many goddamn people who can't go to therapy. If you even think about it, it's astonishing. Like, I'm trying to think like, how much benefit is therapy in the first place? I'm not telling you it's not beneficial. I'm not. I benefited from therapy, but a lot of what I benefited from is realizing that I didn't fucking need it. Because the second my therapist tried to tell me something about myself that I did not agree with, I realized this is a problem. This is a problem. Power dynamics are a problem. They're a problem. I have a problem with authority, a big problem with authority. And society would like to tell me that I am disruptive, that I'm disrespectful, that I'm delusional. No, I'm not. Nor am I woke, whatever the fuck that means. I'm not. But I'm questioning. I am constantly questioning. If you would like me to be a student in your class, you should really be prepared to be questioned. Because I see through so much bullshit. It's painful. You know, I live with an autoimmune disorder because of this perceptiveness that I have. I've always felt this way. I've always been different. I've always felt that I was different. It's not even that. It's always that I've sensed something that was inauthentic with the way that everything works. I was always confused by everybody following this system that doesn't make sense, that doesn't serve them, that doesn't really serve anyone. Even if you made it to the top, it's not serving you, I promise you. So, on my way back down from seeing all the bullshit, I am committed to, even if I do become a therapist, to have patients realize their capacity to help themselves and to resource other people. And this is going to be a big paradigm shift because, like I said, everybody is burnt out. The people who get paid to help, the people who don't get paid to help are burnt out. Therefore, we don't have the emotional, physical capacity to do this work. So there's gotta be a lot of clearing away. And what I've been doing is clearing away to make space for myself and hopefully others, that I will be able to help them realize this. Because who is telling you? This is what I'll leave this rant with. Who is telling you that you can't help yourself? Who is telling you? Who is telling you that you can't help yourself? Who is telling you that? If it's yourself, start there. If it's other people, shut them up, because they're wrong.